Ladies and gentlemen, how's everyone doing today? It's your boy Dave Saxologist on Saxo Friends. Today I have a very special guest. As a matter of fact, he's my very first guest, and he is one of the reasons that I'm still doing this almost a year later. And we're both getting better. He and I both are getting better with it. This is. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to read a little something about him. Over the course of an extraordinary career spanning more than 5 decades, John Klemmer has released more than 40 albums, including over 30 as a band leader, creating a catalog that has influenced generations of musicians. His recordings have sold millions of copies worldwide. His landmark album, MCA and Touch Records, helped define the smooth jazz and contemporary instrumental sound. Known for his unmistakable saxophone tone, yes, sir, expressive improvisation, and innovative spirit, John has never been afraid to push musical boundaries. It is truly a privilege to welcome one of the most respected and influential voices in modern jazz. I introduce to you, and a lot of you already know, Mr. John Klemmer. John, how you doing, brother?
I am doing great. Wow, that was a pretty impressive intro that you did on me. Thank you.
Well, you deserve it, John, because you're one of the goats of this game that we call music, man. So it's only fitting that I give you your props, brother. And
It's nice to see you again.
likewise, man. And this is for those of you that don't know, John and I, this is our third interview because it just keeps getting better. So I encourage you to go to YouTube or Facebook and watch number one and number two as well. But with that being said, John, I'd like to, for those that don't know much about you, we can go ahead and give them a little background on where you're from and how'd you get started in music.
Well, I'm from Chicago, which is a great place to be from. Chicago is a great jazz town. And I started playing alto saxophone when I was about 11 years old. My parents gave me a saxophone and a teacher for my birthday, which I just had, by the way.
Yeah, happy birthday. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm wearing a nice present, a nice, beautiful blue shirt from a present from a friend of Deborah. A friend Deborah gave it to me. So
Awesome.
anyhow, and then I fell in love with the saxophone and fell in love with music, and especially fell in love with jazz. And through high school and all that, did a lot of studying with the classical teachers, classical saxophone teachers, and jazz teachers, and then started gigging, doing jobs around Chicago. With the, I started leading a band pretty soon, and through that was the high school years, and then I was lucky enough that after I finished high school, I signed with the Chess Records, Cadet Records, which was the really the only local record label in Chicago. And I did my first album when I was about 19 in 1967. And I just kept on going.
That you did, my friend. That you did. So I'm going to switch up a little bit, John. I know many people know about your later recordings, but is there an early album that you feel truly defines John Klemmer in an artist and why? You know what I mean? For some of your earlier work.
Well, I think my very first album, which was called Involvement, on Cadet Chess Records, I think that really covered everything. I did a lot of straight. It was mostly a straight ahead jazz album,
Right.
uh, but it also contained some ballad work that I sort of embraced later on in my career quite a bit, ballads and very melodic stuff. So I think that album, my very first album, and I think the Touch album that did very well, also really defined who and what I am musically and personally.
All right, that's good, John. Uh, Now, your music has often blended jazz, classical influences. Was that a conscious effort on your part to do this like smorgasbord, if you will, to put all the things that you were into together?
Well, I tell you what, there's an interesting story about how I created the Touch album that I've been wanting to share for a long time. May I take a few minutes
Please do, please do,
and and tell you?
please do.
All right, man. Well, I did about 5 albums for Chess Records, a couple of straight ahead jazz, and then I did in '69 I did a album Blowin' Gold, which was a some say it was one of the first jazz rock fusion albums. And I also dabbled in the electronics and stuff like that for the first time. And then after that, I signed with Impulse Records. And on Impulse Records, I sort of went back to for the first album, I went back to some straight ahead jazz and then continued on into some more fusion type things. And this is all leading up to when I can't remember the year now, but 70 something. I was performing at the Montreux Jazz Festival in Switzerland. And up until that time, the album before that, I was into this very uh, energetic, intense, I guess you would call it Coltrane esque uh, direction. High energy and screaming and hollering and playing fast and everything. And I was having a lot of fun with it. And it was at the Montreux Jazz Festival in Switzerland. And we were recording live. I was recording live that night. And so I did the performance. And while I was playing, actually, while I was playing, a bell went off in my head and said, John, you can't play this music anymore. And I was kind of surprised. And I finished the performance and I walked off stage. And my lady friend at the time was there and my producer. And I said, I'll never play this music again. Not from a negative standpoint, it was from this bell that went off in my head. And I went back and I did an encore, and it was the same thing. And as I was playing the encore, I was starting to understand what this bell in my head, what this voice in my head was saying is that there was only so much that I could do with that genre of playing, that type of style of playing, always at that high intense level, you know. How do you keep that going, you know? And and also experiencing the audience as I was looking at the audience, I sort of felt like I want to reach more people than this. I want to reach more than the audience that I had at the time there at the Montreux Jazz Festival. It was a lot of people, but something was going like it's time to move on. And like more, you know. And I walked off the stage and I again said to these two nice people, I'll never play this music again. Very positively, almost joyously, you know.
Right.
So went back to Los Angeles and started this procedure of finding out what this bell in my head meant. What do I do next? And I went back to my R&B roots from Chicago, and I did an album called Fresh Feathers. And I enjoyed that album, but it still wasn't enough. So I took a year off. I didn't record, I didn't perform, I didn't do anything. I just took a year off and I stayed in the house. And my main theme for that year was, what do I really love? I don't care about the what the jazz world thinks, the music world thinks, the record company thinks, or maybe even the public thinks. It's like, what do I really, really love and want to do in my life? And at that same time, I took everything, music and other things, I took and distilled them down to their basics as much as I could. I actually went and studied with a drum teacher, and he was surprised. He said, "Where's your drumsticks?" And I said, "No, I just want to talk about rhythm, just melody, harmony, and rhythm." So I took everything down to its essence for that year, and including uh, sociologically, as far as what's going on in the world, what's going on with the public, what do they like, you know? And a real transitional moment for me was I was in my studio and had my feet up on the chair, and I was listening to a Miles Davis album in a silent way. And I had, if anybody knows that beautiful picture of Miles on the album cover, right? And I had that setting up, and I was leaning back in the chair and listening, and I was looking at Miles's picture cover, and I said, almost out loud, I'm going to be as strong and definite as you are to what you are doing to what I'm doing. And, you know, it's like it just came together. It's almost like Miles spoke to me through his album cover and said, "That's okay, John, go ahead. I give you permission," you know?
Yeah,
And I started writing and messing around. And then one morning, uh, was playing on the piano, and I had a notebook where I would always write 4 bars or 2 bars of things of music down. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was thumbing through the little notebook, and I saw 4 bars, and I started playing them on the piano, and it turned out to be that was the song "Touch," but I didn't know it yet.
yeah,
And I played those 4 bars, and something went off in my head, and I could see the whole album and the whole concept. It's like everything that I had been working and analyzing for a whole year came together. And it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I called my manager and I left him a message, and I said, "I've got it. I've got it." And so then it was the process of turning that music into reality. And I found a nice co-producer that could support me and understood the concept and everything. And what I put into the music and into the album Touch was some psychology and sociology. I know it sounds crazy, but it somehow it came through in the music. These things that I had been studying and analyzing about people and spirituality and emotions and all that, and it seemed to come out in the music, and it's sort of been miraculously proven to me with my new venture into Facebook and having the pleasure of contacting so many people and listening to their comments that it really connected and worked. So that's a sort of an encapsulated thing of how I created the Touch music and the Touch album and the music that followed that. Because I went, this is the real me. Really found the real me. Looking back in my career and my records, it was a coming together of how I love to play ballads and more melodic music and stuff like that, and using the echoplex and delay effect like an orchestra and all that. So, did I talk too much?
no, John. You know what? That's some valuable, wonderful information because I was going to ask you about the Echoplex, man. Because when I first heard that, I think I first because in 1975, I think didn't you do Touch in 75 or somewhere around there?
I think
It
so,
was
yeah.
somewhere around there, right? And some people that were like 30 years old lived in my neighborhood, and they were jazz fans. And I was Earth, Wind, and Fire and all that. So the guy says, "Hey man, I want you to hear this John Klemmer." I said, "Who is John Klemmer? He's he with the Barcades or something?" I said, "No, man, he's a jazz musician." I said, "Oh, let me check it out." He played touch. I swear to God, John, I was hooked out on you after that when I heard touch. And I wanted to play the saxophone, but we couldn't afford it, like a lot of other people. So I just forgot all about it. But continually followed you throughout your career. And when albums were out, anytime your album came out, I just bought it. I didn't have to hear any of it. They said John Klemmer's album's out, I got it. Or the CD or whatever, man. So and ever since then, man, it's just been like, and then to become a friend of yours, it's just been, man, it's the ultimate, John. Because you a bad dude, man. You are
Oh,
one bad dude, man. And look, your
I better take my
concerts.
sunglass. I better take my sunglasses off. Now, maybe now I'm not so bad.
But John, let me ask you about your performances too, though, man, because I've been, I took a deep dive in a lot of your performances, man. First of all, tall, good looking guy, and you always had your chest out. What was that all about? You always didn't have no shirt on. You had a suit with no shirt on. It was so cool, man. How did you come up with that?
I had fun. Uh, I had fun experimenting with clothes and all that stuff, and trying to trying to find different hip things to wear and stuff like that
Yeah.
for the album covers and live performance. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah, man. You did your thing up there, but the music was the main thing though. So you did the right thing though.
So
So
you like the Echoplex and the delay.
oh man, that was and the ballads, John, your ballads, man, you played ballads like no other. Today, looking at your Facebook doing the uh was it my what was the one you did today on Facebook?
Yeah, I posted on the JK Jazz on the Patio
Yeah.
solo saxophone.
That song that you did, I can't remember which one it was, but the one I listened to today, I was like, was it My Only Love? Was it My Only Love? My
When I Fall in
When I
Love.
Fall in Love, yeah. Oh my God. John, man, the way you subtone and just I was just like, and you sitting there right there and just sitting back and it's all acoustic, isn't it? You just playing like that. What inspired you to start doing that?
I don't know. Over the last number of years, people have asked me a lot of questions like that about how and why I've done things. And it's terribly difficult to answer because I really don't know. I just did it.
Yeah.
And I always liked melodic stuff, and I like beauty. I like beautiful music and beautiful melodies. And playing subtone, as we both as saxophone players know what that means. Subtone means the very low, breathy notes on the saxophone. It's a challenge. It
It is.
takes practice to do that, and I spend a lot of time doing it. I like challenges. It's like if I can't do something, get out of my way, right? And every time I pick up the horn, still, it's like some kind of goal in my mind is like I'm going to practice this, or I'm going to try this, or I'm going to practice that. And but the tenor saxophone, I think, especially lends itself to those low, breathy notes known as subtones.
Yes, yes.
You're getting there. I hear you playing, man. You're getting there.
Hey, I'm trying, John. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I've been taking lessons. I got a great teacher, Vale Johnson, and I'm learning things that I should have learned a long time ago. I wanted to run before I could walk, basically. So now I'm taking the time. I'm spending a lot of time on scales, and I'm learning things like the arpeggios, and I'm just learning a lot of the theory that I didn't. And it's challenging at my age, but I'm getting it. It's just taking a while, but I'm getting it though. You know,
Age doesn't have anything to do with it, you
just
know.
just keep at it,
And
right?
the saxophone is such a beautiful instrument to play. And the saxophone, the tenor saxophone, the range of the tenor saxophone is the same range as the natural human voice. So it really lends itself to being able to express yourself as you're talking.
Right.
sometimes when I'm playing, I can hear myself talking and using inflections as if I was talking and doing this and talking softer and talking louder, and you can do that with the saxophone, the tenor
Dynamic,
saxophone, especially.
dynamics, right? Yeah, those dynamics, up, down, and all that good stuff.
Dynamics, you
Yeah,
bet.
yeah. Well, John, I tell you what, though, man. Now, did you ever play alto? I know you played it in school, but as a professional, have you ever played alto?
I have an alto here, and I've been thinking about taking an alto sax out. I started out on alto saxophone,
Right.
and then I switched to tenor saxophone when I went into high school. And I also have a soprano saxophone, and so maybe I'll pull those out soon and do some solo saxophone videos on alto and soprano.
Did you play a lot of soprano in your recording? You didn't record a
I
lot of it, did
recorded a couple of times.
you? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Uh, there's a nice there's a nice I think it's a nice soprano track on my new album, or fairly new album, Chateau Love,
Right.
and it's called Smile. And and again, with the soprano saxophone, I stayed in the middle and lower register again to get that subtone breathy effect on the soprano, which I haven't heard very many guys do.
That's got to be pretty hard, though. I can imagine.
It's a challenge,
Yeah.
but it's fun. It's not for me in my career, it's never been work. From the minute I picked up the saxophone, it was love and fun. And that's what just kept me going. I mean, I've been blessed that a lot of people have heard my music and they like it, and I'm very grateful for that. That it just gave me the opportunity to do what I loved more and more and more, and still now,
Yeah.
right?
Man. So, have you ever thought, John? I mean, because you still got your chops and everything. Have you thought about doing some gigs or anything? Have you thought about it?
I'm thinking about mostly I'm retired, quote unquote. I think I'm older now, and I think that going on the road or touring would be a little rough on me.
Hmm.
But I'm thinking about maybe doing some local performances, local gigs, and I'm checking out my endurance and other stuff like that, mentally and physically,
Yeah.
to see if I'm up to it and exactly what I would like to do. But I'm starting to get hungry to do it. I want to. I'm hungry to play in front of an audience.
We're waiting. We want to hear it too, John. I'm telling you, man.
Oh, thank
You let
you.
us know, man, when you gonna do it, boy. I tell you, because you definitely gonna. It'll definitely be a sellout. I can tell you that. John Klemmer. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
I hope so.
Oh
I
yeah.
hope
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. It'll be. So you know what? I was watching a video with you playing with Peter White at the. I think it was at the. Was it at Newport Jazz Festival?
It's a Long Beach Jazz
Oh, the Long
Festival.
Beach. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, with Paul Brown's band.
Right. Right.
Yeah, they Paul invited me to come sit in with them.
Yeah. I saw that.
So we did the Touch album.
Yeah.
I mean the Touch song,
I know.
and it was a lot of fun.
And it was received well though. The audience was loving it, man. Because I was sitting there, I said, "Man, look at John. You came out there, you
Uh,
sound just like you always do, man."
I'm lucky, lucky, lucky guy, man.
So, John, let me ask you about the big sound, the big smooth sound that you have. When you were growing up, which of the guys, which tenor saxophonist or whatever, you kind of took some things from and wanted to incorporate into your own style?
Well, I tell you, I listened at least briefly to everyone that I could, and I'll tell you the truth. One of the ways that I learned about other saxophone players was when I had this great gig in Chicago. It was like a 6 night a week gig, jazz gig in Chicago, and different people would come in and they'd say, "Oh, you sound like," and "you sound like," and I would remember the name, and the next day I would go to the record store and buy their records. You know, you sound like Stan Getz. Okay,
Yeah.
so I never really got deeply involved with one saxophone player. Uh, you
Okay.
know, naturally in my era, John Coltrane and Stan Getz and Sonny Stitt and all those guys. I'll tell you what, in my later years now here, and enjoying the new technology with the smartphones and the internet,
Hmm.
I've been going back and listening to a lot of musicians, saxophone players that I didn't pay attention to earlier on in my life, like Sonny Stitt and that. And that, the, to me now, bebop, which is a funny phrase, but bebop is like to me classical jazz. That's the classical music of jazz. There's so much meat on the bone in bebop, if you want to call it that,
Right.
you know. And so I've been going back and listening to Hank Mobley and Sonny Stitt and Coleman Hawkins, Ben Webster,
Yeah.
any saxophone player that I can find on the internet, I'll listen to. Doesn't matter what genre, you know.
Right. And it's a lot of great young sax players coming up now too, though. Guys are coming behind your legends like you, and they're holding it down too, man.
I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm keeping my ears open.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. So, John, I want to go over your discography and just briefly over all your albums and stuff. I'm just want to ask you about each of these and just tell me something. What do you think about that album? What you were thinking when you made that? Like, for instance, "Blowing Gold," your first one. What were your thought behind that?
Blowing Gold. Blowing Gold was a. Some say it was the first jazz rock fusion album before Miles's Bitches Brew and all that. I don't
Right.
know, but it was an interesting experience. I had just gotten back from Africa. I had gone to Africa for a whole summer with Oliver Nelson doing a State Department tour in Africa. And this is going to sound weird to a lot of younger guys, but I forgot that I had a record contract. I was having so much fun doing the tour in Africa. And then I went back to Los Angeles, and I had just moved to Los Angeles, and I was meeting a whole bunch of new guys. And I actually forgot that I had a record contract. In the middle of the night, Marshall Chess, who was the owner of Cadet and Chess Records and a producer there, called me and to remind me, he said, "You owe me an album. You owe a couple of albums, you know." And then he came up with the idea, why don't you come to Chicago and record with the Chess Records house band that had done a lot of Muddy Waters albums, the Electric Mud album,
Mm.
particularly. And he said, why don't you, quote unquote, bring a couple of hippies with you and we'll put it all together. And so that's what I did. I sat down and I wrote some songs, and I had a keyboard player that I liked that I had met, Richard Thompson, who was had played with the Association and some pop groups. And so I flew him and I back to Chicago, and we just recorded for a solid week. And I had a ball because I had the freedom to experiment and do whatever I want. And so that was the introduction of the Echoplex and delay on a ballad song that I did called "My Love Has Butterfly Wings" that got a lot of airplay and everything.
All right.
So that's a summation of "Blowing Gold."
All right. So let me ask you about, okay, that's the first one. "All the Children Cried." What do you remember about that one?
"All the Children Cried" was the album after "Blowing Gold." It was the next album after it, and pretty much the same thing,
Okay.
except I tried to do more ballads and. I did an experiment that I had. I wrote a song called "Here Comes the Child," and I wrote this song based on the apartment that I had at that time was right across the street from a Catholic girls' school, little girls' school, And on the weekends, they would be out on the lawns playing and laughing and chasing each other around. And I sat down at the acoustic piano and I wrote this little waltz called Here Comes the Child. And then after I recorded it, I said to myself, why don't I make this even more realistic? So I shopped around all over the sound effects studios in Los Angeles, which were plentiful because of the movie studios, and I found a beautiful audio clip of children playing. So we mixed that children playing in behind while I played this pretty waltz, and so that's the highlights of the All the Children Cried album.
All right. We'll go. Let's go. We'll skip a couple. Oh, Constant Throb. That was a
That was my first album for Impulse Records,
okay.
and I decided to go back to some straight ahead jazz stuff and brought in some, you know, a lot of people are good to you in life and you want to give back. So on that album, Constant Throb, I featured a lot of guys that had been very kind to me when I got to LA, like Don Menza, who played bass clarinet and alto flute on it, and a couple of other guys. And that's about it. It's a good album.
Yeah. Barefoot Ballet. I love that one.
Well, Barefoot Ballet, that's an interesting story. Barefoot Ballet is the album right after Touch. And actually, all the music on the Barefoot Ballet album was all recorded during the Touch record sessions.
Oh,
So they were already, most of the Barefoot Ballet album was already in the can, as they say.
yeah.
And then I went into the studio and recorded a couple of more tracks. And it was just a continuation of the Touch music and the Touch concept that I started and that I loved so much and fell in love with, and was like, this is me. This is who I really am.
All right. Now, one of my favorites, Hush, because that song I play it every day, man. Hush, Hush is out of here, John. When I heard Hush, that was the end of me, man. I said, no, man, he can't be doing this, man. It's just he's just too good. Yeah.
Well, the Hush album was my second album after I signed with Elektra Records. And to be quite frank, Hush was an attempt to go back to the touch concept and the barefoot ballet concept
Okay.
of writing and playing.
All right. Now let me ask you about Life, the solo saxophone part two. How'd that come about?
Solo, solo. Well, the solo saxophone, the first album was Cry that I did, solo saxophone with that delay effect
Right.
that I really loved to. I could, with the delay effect, with it repeating notes, but up, I could create chords, you know,
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
and then I could create chords on top of chords, you know. And when I was doing that, I would, the solo saxophone with the delay effect, I could see the keyboard, the piano keyboard in my head playing chords on top of chords, you know. And it was the whole concept of the solo saxophone with the delay effect was just so lush and ethereal and pretty,
Yeah.
just pretty and fun to experiment with.
I have a question for my girl Kim. She says, as John Klemmer, who was the vocalist on Magnificent Madness? I don't know if you remember
Billy
that.
Thedford,
There you go. Okay, Kim, you hear that? Well, say that again, John.
Billy Bili Thedford,
Okay.
Thedford. Thedford. You could Google him and you'll find him. I don't know if he's still singing, but I looked him up a long time ago and he's still around and kicking.
All right. But she told me, she said, you have to ask him. I said, I will not forget. I'm going to ask him because she wanted to know.
Oh, thank you for the question.
Yeah, Kim. Yeah, she loves you too, though. She wasn't a big jazz fan until she got with me. We've been together 7 years. She don't have no choice. There's horns all over the place, so she needs to be a jazz lover. You know, that's it. All right, John. Finesse. What are you thinking about that one?
Pardon?
Finesse. Your album Finesse. What do you think about that?
Finesse. Um, Finesse. I just focused on the very, very simple ballads, very simple, each one, and playing them very simple. And that's the concept of the whole Finesse album,
Okay. Now I want to ask
as
you.
pretty as possible.
Yeah, I mean, John. I mean, your stuff is you're so melodic though. Like you said, you like beautiful things. I can tell because you really play those ballads, man. And as you know, as a saxophonist, that's where everything when you play ballads, that shows everything that you have, right? There's no you
It
can't hide
really,
doing a ballad, you know.
it really is. It really is a test
Yeah,
for any musician on
yeah,
any instrument, I think. And when I would go to choose sidemen for my live bands, and of course for recording too, a lot of times I would, when I was checking them out, either in person or their recordings, I would always go to see what do they sound like playing ballads.
yeah.
That's the true test, I think.
It is. Or I know, man. You're right. Because you play the fast stuff, you can cover up a lot of stuff. But when you just like, "Na, na, na, na," that's it. You got to hit it. you know.
There's a lot of space that you have to leave open.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And John, I tell you what. I'm playing at church now. You remember I asked you about that stuff. You were saying, Dave. You said I'll never forget what you told me about looking out to the audience, look over people's and all that kind of stuff. And you said if you mess up, you just half step away from being right. If you play the wrong note, you half step away from being right.
You did good at the church, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, John. I appreciate it, man. I've been really trying to get in there and not not be the weak link in the band because all those guys are great. I'm the only pretty much amateur, but they're working with me though, and they're letting me grow. So I appreciate it.
So I'm glad you did that. I was glad that I could talk to you about what it's like and what you could do to help yourself playing in front of an audience.
Yeah.
There is an art to it.
You're right about that, man, because it's funny because we up there in rehearsal, I'm just as soon as those lights come on, oh John, and all those lights come on and the camera's going, it's a whole different ball game then, right? So it's like I just take woosah, take a breath, and then when I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. Then I don't even think about it no more. So I've gotten over that now.
Uh, well, as we talked about before, there's a couple of quote unquote tricks when you're performing live, is that you avoid looking at anybody in their eyes. You don't want to look at people in their facial expressions. You want to look just over their heads. You know,
Yeah,
they won't know you're doing it from the audience.
right.
The other thing that can work sometimes is you can just pick one person out and look at them, just them only. But I found for me that if you look when you're up on the stage and you're playing and you look right over their heads, you know, and it distills the audience into it puts them into like a kind of like a bubble,
Yeah,
you know, all in one. It's not 50 million people. It's just this big bubble,
yeah,
and it's more. You can concentrate more, and it makes you less nervous. And also the other thing that I learned, actually, I learned this on my own, but I also learned it by watching Miles Davis. You know, Miles Davis was a showman in his own way, but he was a showman by not being a showman. In other words, Miles just walked up on the stage and he did whatever he wanted to.
yeah,
Walk walk away, did this, da 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 da, get mad, not get mad, right? And just be free and be himself on stage. And I watched him and I learned that, just the hell with it. When you get
yeah,
up on stage, it's sort of like the hell with it.
yeah.
And that helps too.
Man, you were real cool on stage though, man. The way I mean, I just watched you earlier, man, and you just walk up and down that stage, and then when you do your thing and you do something there, and you raise up that right hand and you working the left, I say, "Go ahead, John." Yeah,
It's
you a
fun.
bad
You got
man.
to have fun with it.
Yeah, man, your concerts. And then I was, back in those days, I was a liner note reader too. And you had nothing but heavyweights working with you. When you recorded, you had Steve Gadd and all these guys, man. It's like, yeah,
Well, that was my idea and process in Chicago. Instead of I learned early on, instead of running around trying to find a way to sit in or play with these great musicians in Chicago, what I did was I worked hard and I went out and got a gig and hired them.
yeah. There you go. That'll work.
Yeah. And the same thing, of course, when I was recording, I had the beautiful opportunity to hire the best musicians. Harvey Mason, uh, Ronnie Foster, uh, Luis Conte,
Yeah,
uh, John Tropez, on and on and on. Lenny White, Abraham Laboriel,
yeah.
all these guys are just absolutely great.
Top of the line, man. So what kind of band leader were you, John? How did you were you a taskmaster, or is it like, okay, guys, let's just do this rehearsal, everybody learn the music, and I mean, what kind of band leader were you? Are you rather?
Wow, that's a good question. Loose, loose band. Um, Nobody's ever asked me that before, Dave. You come up with some good questions.
Oh, thank you.
Uh, what kind of band leader was I? I was a nice guy. I was a nice guy, but yet the guys knew that I was all business as far as music, taking care of business music. And I always made sure that I had clean bands, no drugs, no all that stuff. And but as far as the actual music goes, maybe I would have a rehearsal or two where I would just run down the melodies and the structure of the song, and I would avoid in rehearsal doing any long solos and like that. I wanted to save that for the live performance.
Okay.
So I just got them familiarized with the songs, the melodies, and the structure of it. Who's going to solo first, and and how it's going to end, how the song's going to end, and especially when you're out doing shows, you have a bunch of songs in a certain order that you
Right.
want to perform.
Yeah.
So I would do that and go, all right, this song is next, and this song, and so I kept it loose, but they had a good idea of the framework to work within.
How did you come up with your set
Uh,
list? How,
Pardon?
how did you come up with your set list? What you were going to play? How did you come up with those? How did you incorporate that?
Well, it's interesting because I just answered someone who sent me a question on Facebook. Is that what I did was I never performed any songs from my records. The only song that I ever performed from my records was Touch. And my modus operandi was I wanted to the people when they came to the concert, I wanted to give them fresh new material.
Mm,
So I only played the song Touch, and I never played. And somebody had sent me a message about that they were disappointed that they came to my show and I didn't play any of the songs from the albums. And looking back, I think I should have done that more. But that was my thinking at the time, that I wanted to present new music all the time.
you know what, John? That's interesting. You say that because I don't know if you remember this. I asked you. I said, John, you got 30 albums, and you on the patio said you never play none of your stuff though. You you play ballads and all that though. I was like, man, play Touch and Hush and all that though. You might get around to it or what? Why don't you do that on your Facebook thing
Play more songs from the Touch album.
from any of your albums? Because most of the time you play other stuff, don't you?
All my life and my whole career, I'm so always encapsulated with do something new, do something fresh, keep
Mm.
going forward, do something new. But it's really something, and I'm glad you're bringing it up. I think it's something that I should do more of, and I think people would like to hear it.
Yes,
So I
definitely.
should. Part of the problem is that I don't remember a lot of those songs. I'm going to have to go back and relearn them.
Is that right? Because you don't play them that much, you forget them then, huh?
Yeah, I forget them.
Do you ever listen to your own music?
No,
Man,
not really.
what is wrong with you guys, man? You make all that great music, don't listen to your own stuff. You're not the first one I've heard say that too, though. That is for people like me. It's just like you one of the baddest cats out there, and you don't even listen to your own stuff.
Well, uh, it's not much fun to listen to it because you've done so much, especially with, of course, with recordings. You've done so much work, and you in preparing the music and then performing it and recording it. And of course, as many people know, you have to go into the studio and then mix it down, right? Like a
Yeah.
cake, you have to mix the music down so you've heard it over and over and over again. So that's the main reason
Okay.
that it's you don't listen to it again. It's like I've heard "Free Fall Lover" 73,000 times in the mix, so I don't want to hear it again. I want to do something new.
Actors are like that too. Actors, they say they don't watch their own movies though. It's like, yeah, they were talking to Matt Damon. He was like, no, I never watch it. I never watched myself. Denzel said the same thing. I never watched myself. I guess people like us,
Isn't
lay people like myself that not like you. It's hard to fathom that for people like us. We like, man, shoot, I'd be watching Equalizer right now if I was Denzel. I'm just
I
saying,
got you. I got you.
you know what I mean?
I've never understood that about actors. When they hear that, they never watch themselves. But I can understand a little bit. I've done some, videos and live performances, and sometimes to watch yourself, you kind of maybe grit your teeth a little bit.
Yeah,
Feel embarrassed about this. You wish you would have done that. So it's understandable.
yeah, that part. Yeah, yeah, you're right about that. All right, John, I'm gonna do a couple of rapid fire questions here. Just whatever come to mind. Okay, just rapid fire. Favorite saxophonist?
My favorite saxophonist
Yes.
lately, I've been listening to Sonny Stitt
Okay.
because I didn't listen to him enough in my earlier years, and I've gone back, and the internet is so amazing. I mean, there's so much music and content you can find. So I've been listening to Sonny Stitt, and I mean, I'll always love John Coltrane and Stan Getz.
All right.
They've got to be those are the guys for me.
All right. Favorite album of all time? It could be yours or
Uh,
anybody's.
the first thing that comes to my mind is Bitches Brew.
That was
It was
good.
so
Okay.
it was so innovative and opened a whole new world, uh, not just for soloists but for rhythm sections, and the whole thing was like holy mackerel.
Yeah. All right. Favorite city to perform in?
Los Angeles,
That sounds good to me.
hometown.
Oh yeah. All right. Morning or night person?
Oh boy, I'm a night person. I'm a night person. I had trouble getting up this morning for our
I
interview.
know you were telling me you said you have a problem sleeping or something, huh?
Oh yeah, I'm a night guy, and soon as I put my head on the pillow, my head is going. And there are times many, many years ago, it sounds really weird, but there were times for a short period of time I actually slept with my horn. I had the horn in my in the horn in the bed with me next to me so I could reach over and grab it.
Oh
I
man.
don't do that anymore.
Okay. All right. All right. Coffee or tea?
T.
All right. Biggest musical influence.
Say that again, please.
Biggest musical influence.
I would have to say Miles Davis.
All right. That's a good one.
All the way.
All
All
right.
the way. Not only as a soloist, but as a band leader too, and a composer of such. He used sidemen to compose. You know,
Yeah.
he was such a he was so beautiful in picking the sidemen that he did, and how he utilized their talents. For
Yes.
their own benefit. you know.
All right, dream collaboration. That means you'd work with anybody if you had a chance. Anybody.
Well, I don't know. Again, Miles Davis, we know that he's not here
Okay.
anymore,
All right.
but I would have loved to. I met Miles a couple of times, and we had a nice encounter. And it was nice for me to know that he knew who I was.
Yeah.
And, also, I found out later on here in life that Stan Getz knew who I was and all that.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, to have worked with Miles Davis and have him beat me up.
All right. Okay. One word that describes your music.
Luscious.
I'd say
That's what I
smooth.
go for.
That's good. I like that. Lush is a word. One song every saxophonist should know.
Boy, oh boy, I don't know. It's easy to say giant steps because it's a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. You're right
Yeah,
about that. I
giant
know
steps.
I can't play it, but I can look at it.
Yeah.
All right.
I've been going through my, excuse me, I've been going through my a big pile of old music books and everything, and I've been pulling out uh, lead sheets to different songs that I want to play and record and everything. And one of them was a lead sheet to Giant Steps
Oh,
that I haven't seen in a while.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
on my music stand now to play.
What BPM was he at, like 300 BPM on that or something? Or what? It was insane.
Say,
What
say that again.
what was he at 300 BPM or so when he was playing that Giant Steps? Because that's really fast Giant Steps. 300
Dee da
BPM.
da da dee da 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 da. Even a little slower than that though.
Yeah.
Da 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 dee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. One piece of advice for young musicians.
Well, follow your heart and your mind.
That's good. I like that. So, John, you did one. Was it 24 that you did the
It was the late 25
25? Okay. Yeah.
when
Yeah.
the Chateau Love album came
Chateau,
out.
which is very nice though. So, did you write all the songs on that?
I beg your pardon?
Did you write all the songs on that album?
I did indeed. Yeah. I I like I'm prejudiced, but I mean I like the album a lot,
Yeah, it's good.
and it's some good stuff on it.
So, what are you working on now, John? I know you probably got some stuff that you working on that, and I'm sure you're not done recording because you just keep going.
Well, lately, like I said, I've been going through all my old files of music charts, and I've been finding a lot of lead sheets to songs that I haven't played in a long time that I want to refresh my memory on and maybe record them for the Jazz on the Patio series that I do on Facebook. And I'm always writing stuff on the synthesizer, on the keyboard, and I've got some ideas for a new album that are starting to shape up in my head. A new album and a new direction.
Okay,
And I'll tell you, the theme of the direction is a new kind of beauty.
I like it.
A new kind of
A
beauty.
new kind of beauty. That sounds good to me, John. So let's talk gear now,
Thank
John. Let's talk gear. Your tenor sax, is that a Yamaha you playing?
Yamaha silver plated custom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a custom Z?
Custom Z. I still have my Selmer saxophones though, the Mark Sixes. I still have those.
Do you play them or not often? Or
Not much anymore. No, mostly the Yamaha.
so comparatively, I know that those are the are like the gold standard when it comes to. So your Selmer versus your Yamaha right now, which I mean, I know you're using Yamaha now, but which one? Well, you did most of your recordings with the six, though, right? The Mark Six.
All those years, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And I use the Yamaha on the new album Chateau Love. Pardon me, and of course I'm playing it all the time now on the J, Jazz at the Patio series.
Right.
And but I also have a silver plated alto and a silver plated soprano, and I'm thinking about pulling them out and playing them for a while.
Yeah. So with the tenor, what mouthpiece are you using now?
It's called a Brillhart Level Air, and it's not necessarily a terribly popular mouthpiece, but it's when I was in high school, my father bought me my first tenor saxophone, the Mark Sixth. I still have it from high school,
Hmm.
and I picked out. I went and tried an Otto Link mouthpiece, and I tried a Berg Larson mouthpiece. I didn't care for those very much, and this Brillhart Level Air mouthpiece, stainless steel, had just I think it just come out, and I tried that, and I just liked the way it fit in my mouth, and I could control the sound better with it. So I've been playing the same mouthpiece since high school. How about that?
What? But you had different variations of it though, like but not the actual same one, the real same.
Yeah, I still have the actual one, but I bought in addition some duplicates
Okay. Okay.
and had them worked on. Yeah, but I still have that original mouthpiece, and I still play it sometimes.
What is that? You were trying one recently, a different one. You had said you had. What was that one?
Yeah, I found in my music bag. I found a Berg Larson mouthpiece. Maybe the Berg Larson that I tried in high school. I can't remember.
Yeah.
So curiosity got the cat. So I took the Berg Larson out and played it, and it's a nice sound. It's different, and you know, a lot of saxophone players you can really get hung up on trying 50 million different mouthpieces.
Tell me about it.
You know,
I'm one of them.
but I found it to be best to just like a lot of things in life, just stick with one thing and make it work.
Yeah, and right now I got three that I'm kind of. So I'm kind of. I said, well, yeah, I'm going to narrow it down. I got the HR, I got the Jody. I'm a Jody Jazz guy. I got the Jody Jazz Quasar, and I was a Theo Wane guy. I had a Theo Wane. So I've had all of them, John. I got a bunch of them in here now. But like you said, it's not the mouthpiece. It's the player though. You know, the guy that played this dude Rod Tate that played your Touch album. He said he plays on a Rico Graftonite mouthpiece.
Uh,
I mean, that's a basic mouthpiece, and he sounds incredible. So it's definitely not the mouthpiece. He said Graftonite. I said, what? He said $30 Graftonite. I said, you get out of here, man. For real? He said, yes, that's what I use. I said, all right, there you go.
Whatever works, right?
Yeah,
Whatever
whatever.
works, right?
That's it, man.
Hey, Dave, it's been great talking to you.
Likewise, John, man. I tell you what, man. Like I said, I appreciate you being the humble man that you are and being as nice as you are to take a chance on a guy that has never done no podcast. And I just asked you, let me interview, and you said sure. And ever since then, we've been real tight, man. And I just appreciate you, brother.
We are tight, and I always catch your videos,
Thank you, man.
and you're always playing better.
Hey, that's the goal, John. I appreciate that. Coming from you, man, is wonderful, man. But
You're
before
sneaking up. You're sneaking up on me, man.
John, you stop it, man. So, John, if people want to just tell them about your social information, like they can see you on Facebook or whatever.
Facebook, Instagram, yeah. And if it's really important for something, they can always contact me through one of those sites, and if I deem it okay, I'll give my email address out.
All right.
Okay.
And all
Yeah.
your music, they can find on any platform, all the platforms of Spotify, Apple
Yeah.
Music, everything, huh? Yeah.
I've said it a million times, and I still say it again. It's my mantra. I'm the luckiest guy on the planet.
Now we're lucky. We're lucky to have you, brother, because you have made a lot of lives, and you got a lot of you done help sell a lot of saxophones and reeds and all this stuff for trying to be like you. Let me hear this, John. This is my mute. See it?
What, what you got there?
That's a sax mute.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah, this is my alto right here. I just keep this one here so I can play it at any time because it mutes it. But I got my cannonballs too though. But see, I just keep this in here so whenever I just come in here and I can just come
It's
in
a
here.
it's a gigantic it's a gigantic saxophone mute.
Exactly, it is, man. So the horn just sits in there and I got it on this stand. I can stand up or I can sit down and play it. It's cool, it's just another one of those things, man.
You turned me on to a lot of new products.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad, John. Well, hey, look, John, this has been wonderful, brother. And I know you want to shed light on. You got something coming up Monday, kind of important too. You want to share that?
I beg your pardon?
Said you got something coming up on Monday that's pretty important too. Do you want to share that or with the?
Well, what I think what you're talking about already passed. It was an interview for New York
Oh
Times.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yes. Uh-huh.
This guy is doing a special article on the Steely Dan album Royal Scam.
Mm,
Just on that album, it's sort of like a landmark album, and I do a solo on there.
okay.
And he's been contacting every musician who's on that album to give a story about what it was like to record with Steely Dan.
Okay. All right. All right, John. Well, once again, John, I really appreciate your time, brother. Keep doing your thing, man. Keep playing that horn the way you do, brother. We love you, man, and I'm looking forward to new music again. But in the meantime, I'll still touch and hush up out of here, though. You know what I mean?
Thank you, man. It's always a pleasure, and I treasure our friendship.
Likewise, John. I'll talk to you later, brother. Okay. Have a great weekend.
You too, baby.
Ladies
Bye
and
bye.
gentlemen, that's the great John Klemmer on Saxofriends. This will be on Facebook and YouTube tomorrow morning. So check out my man, John Klemmer. You guys have a wonderful day.